Hello Kaiju fans, welcome back to the Kaiju World Order. My name is MM, and this is Monster of the Week, and this may actually be the biggest and longest Monster of the Week we do, because this week's is actually something that I've been wanting to cover for a while. The original Showa Rodan. Now, I'm hazarding a guess that if you found your way onto my channel, you already know the ins and outs of Rodan, the original Showa version that I'm about to talk about here. Either way, I'm going to kind of spice this up. There's going to be some hot takes in here and just my general opinions of the monster and what happened to Rodan after the Showa era, which is a goddamn disgrace if you ask me. But anyway, this video, Monster of the Week, is going to just cover specifically the original Rodan from the 1956 movie and the movies Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster, Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, which you might also call Invasion of Astro Monster. I'm just old school and can't get past the Monster Zero title. And then Destroy All Monsters. Yay, briefly appears in like Godzilla vs. Megalon and Terra Mechagodzilla as stock footage, but that's just other bullshit. We're not going to really get into that. So officially there have been 3 different Rodans. The 2 from the original movie, and then the one that appeared in Ghidorah and onward. We are never really told 100% if that new Rodan is the same as one of the ones that died in 56, or if it's their offspring. But given it is also emerging from the same volcano as 1956's climax takes place, there's arguments to be made for both. In official bios, the only differences in these Rodans are their wingspans, which range from 120 to 150 meters, and it's never like said if the Rodan was just growing, why the wings grew, why the weight never increased, yada yada yada. It's just a little trivial fact that has no real bearing on the movies at all. Now, he has appeared in everything from video games and almost every toy line imaginable. We'll get into that stuff a little bit later. Now, everyone, buckle up, because this may take a good bit. As I said, we're going to cover 4 different movies worth of this character. And we're going to start this off right by going right back to the original movie, where there's not 1, but 2 Rodans. After hatching and eating some Meganeuron, the Rodans went out on a worldwide forage for food. And because they flew so fast and only targeted single victims at a time, their existence remained a mystery for some time. But when one appeared, so did the other. And eventually the giant pterosaurs didn't just outmaneuver fighters, they brought them down in some of the best special effects scenes we've seen from Super Rodan. Eventually their war with the world took them directly to Tokyo, where not a landmark was spared. And not since Godzilla only 2 years prior have we seen such awesome, wanton destruction of miniature Japan. Bridges crumbled, buildings leveled, and entire neighborhoods were left in flame. And then they left, as kaiju often do. The Rodans sought refuge in a new nest and found their home at the basin of Mount Aso. With no other option, the self-defense forces deployed ballistic missiles and triggered the volcano. It took little time for the winged monsters to emerge, but the choking gas and unbelievable temperatures quickly began to get the better of them both. One fell into the burning abyss, and shortly after, its mate followed. Both reptiles, the supposed last of their kind, were gone. Or so humanity thought. Fast forward nearly 10 years, and a strange prophetess, stating she came from Venus, or Mars in the English dub, began to warn the returns of Godzilla and Rodan. And lo and behold, while a tour was being given around the crater of Aso, Rodan emerged. The monster took flight across Japan, and at the same time, Godzilla was also making his return for the umpteenth time. It was only a matter of time before these two finally crossed paths. After all, the world wasn't big enough for them both. And when they finally did, it was a dream match in the making. Or mostly, anyway. There's some absolutely awesome visuals here, from Rodan dropping Godzilla to them just hitting each other. But there's also a few shots here that, well, I think would have been better left on the cutting room floor, and I'm looking at you, hand puppets. Eventually, their battle is interrupted by the young Mothra larva. The worm tried to convince Godzilla and Rodan to set aside their petty differences and save the world from the newly arrived King Ghidorah, the other giant monster that happened to be throwing a fit just around the corner. Rodan and Godzilla continued to bicker, forcing Mothra to go off alone. Seeing the little worm braving the Hydra on her own finally set Godzilla and Rodan on the path of world saviors they would forever be known as. Godzilla and Rodan showed up to tell Ghidorah to pick on somebody his own size, and Rodan, just as he did with Godzilla, showed he was no pushover. He met Ghidorah in the air, ramming the three-headed monster head-on and crashing them both onto the ground. He allowed Mothra to climb onto his back in order to rain webbing down on the alien, and eventually cocooning most of its upper torso. With no hope of victory, Ghidorah took off and left the world stunned and speechless. It would only be a year later when the Exilians and humans made contact, and their drama drew the kaiju into the limelight again. The Exilians declared they needed Godzilla and Rodan to rid their world, Planet X, of the horrors of King Ghidorah also. Humans would eventually agree, and the two monsters were captured while asleep and transported to the alien world. And the rematch of the century began as Godzilla and Rodan waged war with the three-headed one once more. But this was just a repeat as before, only less sticky. The duo drove Ghidorah back into the voids of space and left humanity with the supposed payment of a miracle cure for all disease. What a shocker that the miracle cure was actually a setup, and the aliens sought control of the planet. Who could have ever foreseen these aliens that live under the surface of a hostile planet may want to upgrade? Godzilla and Rodan were dispatched to Earth, but now under the control of their alien overlords. The monsters were eventually given the order to destroy everything in their path, and somehow that started with Tokyo. Again. But humans had their own plans, and they managed to free the monsters of control, and thus Godzilla, Rodan, Ghidorah, round 3. By this time, Ghidorah seemed to be getting tired of getting his ass whooped. Rodan grabbed Godzilla by the shoulders and slammed the Monster King into Ghidorah, and all three then rolled down a cliff and splashed down into the ocean. Ghidorah was the only one to emerge, heading off-world once more with his ego shattered. And finally, Rodan would be able to enjoy some decent rest and relaxation, that is, until 1999, in 1968's Destroy All Monsters. Here, Rodan would be enjoying his life on the island of Monsterland in the Ogasawara Islands. It can be assumed he's also been there since at least the 70s, when nearby nuclear tests accidentally destroyed Monster Island, the proto-Monsterland where Rodan was also living, with stock footage of a movie that takes place in the future. Are you confused yet? So anyway, in 1999, the Kilaaks, I refuse to call them Kilakians, took control of the island and sent the monsters out on a worldwide tour of destruction, where Rodan was sent to Moscow. Good job, Rodan, you did something the world never had the balls to do. So after leaving the communist haven of the world in ruins, Rodan was then just flying around, destroying jets and stuff, before being summoned to, wait for it, Tokyo. Rodan joined Godzilla, Mothra, and Manda in destroying the city for the billionth time, and then he just took off. He protected the Kilaaks' base for a bit until humans gained the upper hand and seized control of the kaiju for themselves. Then the monsters were all gathered at the base of Mount Fuji to find and destroy the Kilaak base of operations, but then the aliens deployed Ghidorah. And Ghidorah was just so happy to not only see all of his old buddies of Godzilla, Rodan, and also Mothra, but now a whole slew of other monsters. Yeah, the Earth monsters really stand no chance. So Ghidorah was just utterly dogged on and ganged up on. Rodan really didn't do anything except make some gusts of wind and cackle. Didn't take long for Ghidorah to finally get killed. Then the aliens managed to destroy the control device the humans were using, but the monsters were already annoyed and tired with all this shit. Godzilla crushed the aliens under his foot, and everyone returned back to Monsterland. Monsterland. Here to say what this specific Rodan doesn't have than what it does have, because let's face it, Rodan just isn't one of the top 5 Toho kaiju. The Showa Rodan is easily the best of the Rodans. You can argue against it all you want, have fun, but you're wrong if you think otherwise. Showa Rodan is the best. Thus, Rodan has gotten everything from an X+, he's had statues, vinyl figures, gashapons, a really badass Rebel tech. The only lines that really feel wrong for not having this guy represented yet is Monster Arts and the modern Bandai movie monster series. Monster Arts have been giving Showa Kaiju releases now for some time, and I am honestly surprised we didn't get an announcement for 1956 Rodan for its 70th anniversary in 2026. But, you know, G-Day is still around the corner, and just fingers crossed, maybe we'll still see that, at least for a 2027 release. And as for movie monster series figure, we have had 2 different YMSF figures, which kind of stand in, 56 and 64. And additionally, there's been the Playmates that came out not too long ago. And before that, Bandai had the original vinyl one way back in the, I believe, 80s or early 90s. All decent figures, but we really do need a Monster Arts and a movie monster series release. And don't worry, while Rodan has evolved past his Showa incarnations as a character in movies and anime, SP Rodan sucks, I don't care. The loved Showa version still pops up in other media and video games. He was this close to popping up in his own Nintendo game way back after Monster Monsters was a success. He was a playable character in the Godzilla Battle Legends game for, I think it was Turbo Duo, Turbo Gear. I never actually played the game. Pretty cool footage from it though I've seen. More recently, he's been in the PlayStation 4 video game, where he was added for Godzilla vs. in Japan, and then just in the basic release in America. And far more recently, Showa Rodan's been added to mobile games. He's been added to Battle Line, I believe, back in 2020 or 2021. He's not the best unit anymore. We should be getting a new Showa Rodan eventually. I mean, this was 64, so they could still do a 1956. And if Baragon is a really good unit now, a Rodan could definitely, a Showa Rodan could definitely be something good too. And then outside of video games, just going into comics, IDW has been using the Showa Rodan design for a lot of different stories. One that comes to mind is the ongoing Godzilla, which I believe they call History's Greatest Monster now. That really used the 56 Rodan design. Rulers of Earth as well had this great little plot of Rodan fighting Varan. One of the coolest covers in the entire line is just Showa Rodan versus Varan. I would love to have a full-size poster of that. Now, should we talk about how powerful Rodan is compared to other monsters and what happens when he fights something else? Absolutely. The Showa Rodan is a powerhouse. There is no other way to put it. Unlike the Heisei Rodan, where he was shrunk down and made specifically weaker than Godzilla, Showa Rodan can stand toe-to-toe with Godzilla. He was able to take Godzilla's atomic breath, even if it was just radioactive gas in the 60s. He was able to do that without flinching. He is able to fly and ram into his opponents. He slams into Ghidorah with such force it causes both of them to come crashing down, and Rodan just gets back up and just continues to fight. Compare that to 2019's Rodan that just slams into Ghidorah and then just immediately bows down to him. No, the Showa Rodan is something that's built entirely different than the later versions, and I really do miss having a Rodan that can stand toe-to-toe with Godzilla. Don't get me wrong, I like the 2019 one, but the 2019 one's not gonna give Monster vs. Godzilla a run for his money the way Showa Rodan was able to give Showa Godzilla a run for his money. It's just how it is for the characters. as I said, he was durable enough to slam Ghidorah. He is able to fly fast enough, well, Mach 1.5 officially, but he's able to outmaneuver jet fighters. He can turn on a dime. He doesn't need to do barrel rolls and stuff to crash jets. He can just fly over them and just cause a sonic boom, and that's it. His physical strength also should not be underestimated. Despite not having any arms, Rodan's leg strength, he just picks up Godzilla like he weighs nothing and drops him. This is something he does multiple times in multiple movies, so it's not just a one-off. Additionally, Mothra larva crawling onto his back and then being used as like air support is something to just look past, but you gotta remember that Mothra, that bug, still weighs 10,000 pounds. That's about as heavy as Rodan is himself. And that's crazy he's able to do that and just fly around as if there's nothing on him. So if you drop Showa Rodan even into, say, the Heisei Godzilla era, he's gonna go toe-to-toe with Heisei Godzilla. The only thing something like Heisei Godzilla would do to Showa Rodan is outlast him. The atomic breath, he's gonna be able to tank it. He's taken heavy hitting attacks before. So while Heisei monsters like, say, Heisei Godzilla, Heisei Mechagodzilla, Batra, they all have far more explosive powers than most of the stuff Rodan's faced in the Showa era. But just based on what he's already survived and done, I have no doubts that Showa Rodan could, at the very least, take out someone like Heisei King Ghidorah on his own. I think that would actually be a pretty cool fight, one-on-one. Heisei Ghidorah and Showa Rodan. That'd be a great clash of, well, styles and monsters, I guess you could say. But really, that's all I gotta say on that. And until next time, Kaiju fans, peace out, and Minya, take it away. And join the Kaiju Hug Box, vote for the next week's.
Godzilla says you should like and subscribe.